Monday. So you came on Monday. So I met Warden also. So he has given me permission to take the classes in the TV room, but the TV room is in, disarray. The ceiling and all has fallen. So they are not repairing, but I have told Dr. Dulamani that let us get it repaired, because that process will take a lot of time. That may take a lot of time. Okay, in this forum we discuss transcendental knowledge, the knowledge which is not available in any academic institute, the knowledge about our own self. We try to know so many things outside, but not knowing who we are. So we explore the world which is within. Who we are, what is the purpose of this human life, how to know what is the purpose of human life, and then how to achieve it. So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to make the human life become a perfect human life. So we are discussing the 8th chapter now. We have covered the first 7 chapters and we are on the 11th verse. So we will discuss from the 11th verse of the 8th chapter. You can share the books. Come sit. You sit here. But just make little space and sit. Hare Krishna. So the 8th chapter is very interesting chapter, as we have been discussing. This is the chapter which is the inevitable chapter in everyone's life. This is the final moment of our life, which is called as death. So what is the perfection of death? Is to attain the Supreme. Because if we fail to attain the Supreme, then what we have to do? We have to come back into various other forms of life. So Krishna is very systematically giving the knowledge. First, in the 7th chapter, he spoke about knowledge of the absolute. If one is in knowledge of the absolute, then there is all possibility that he can attain the absolute. So this chapter is entitled Attaining the Supreme or Attaining the Absolute. So Krishna has given the 2 paths in this chapter. Of course, Krishna in the entire Bhagavad Gita, he gives various processes of yoga, but he focuses on which yoga? The yoga which is easiest to practice and which is sure to get the highest result. So from verse number 9 that we are discussing, Krishna is speaking about Yog Mishra Bhakti. You should open and give that. We will discuss from verse number 11. But I'm just reviewing from the last, just to recap. So Krishna first emphasized that if one is able to offer his mind and intelligence, the highest form of meditation is to always think of Krishna. But do we think of Krishna? Is it easy? Very difficult. Most of the time we are thinking about our own self. The absorption is in the self. The self-absorption is so intense that to cut the self-absorption, it seems almost impossible. Then in the 8th verse, Krishna gave the process of practice. And how one has to practice that, Krishna elaborated in the 9th chapter. He gave 9 forms of meditation. How one has to meditate. And what is this process of meditation? That he spoke in the 10th verse, which is Yoga Balena Cheva. That one has to rise his life air from the lower chakras to the Agya chakra, which is the chakra which is between the 2 eyebrows. The last verse that we discussed is Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Cheva. Bhruvor Madhye Pranam Aveshya Pranam aveshya samyak satam param purusham upeti divyam. So how one has to uplift his consciousness, his life here, and concentrate on the Supreme. Param upeti divyam, on the transcendental Supreme. And how one has to practice, that is detailed in the 11th verse. So before we begin, we will recite the prayers, the Mangalacharan, because this knowledge is the transcendental knowledge, which is transcendental knowledge means that knowledge which cannot be acquired by our mind and senses. So if we, what are the faculty of acquiring knowledge that we have? Mind, sense, and intelligence. So how to access this intelligence, this knowledge which is beyond intelligence, is through the mercy, to the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And how we invoke the mercy of the Supreme Lord? Because when we call out, when we pray. When we pray, our prayer reaches the Supreme, and from Supreme, His mercy descends. So we can be uplifted, our consciousness can be uplifted, and we can be connected. And when we are connected, then this knowledge can flow. Because this knowledge does not flow in the head, it flows in the heart. So heart has to be connected. Whose heart was connected? Arjuna. That is why only Arjuna could understand Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra was also hearing Bhagavad Gita, but his heart was disconnected. So he could not hear. So we will pray to connect our hearts. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavasya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So Krishna is giving the process that what one needs to practice in able to come to this stage of yoga balena cheva and bhruvor madhe. How one will be able to fix his life hair between the eyebrows. So from verse number 9 to 13, he is defining the process. And in the 11th, he is giving 4 principles to observe. Very interesting. So I will recite the verse, and with me, you also attempt. Yadaksharam ved vido vadanti. Ishanti yat yatyo vitaragah. Yadikchanti brahmacharyam charanti. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Yadaksharam ved vido vadanti. Vishanti yat yatyo vitaragah. Yadikchanto brahmacharyam charanti. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Yadaksharam ved vido vadanti. Vishanti yad yatyo vitaragah. Yadikchanti brahmacharyam charanti. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Recite. Yadaksharam ved vido vadanti. Vishanti yad yatyo vitaragah. Yadikchanto brahmacharyam charanti. Tatte padam sangrahena. Boys, recite. Come, sit. Sir, you please sit on the chair. Oh, these boys will sit down. Please, we have, less space. So you please take the seat. You have to leave some space from there. You sit down. Is it possible for you to sit on the floor? You have problem? So then you have to leave a little space. Remove that chair from there. Ganesh? Because some students will be coming for dinner and they will be picking up the plates. Keep your chair in such a way that people can pass. Bring it a little further. Yeah. Okay. Possibly, Dr. Dola Mani will arrange next Saturday. We will be in the TV room. Okay. Yes, boys, recite. Yadaksharam ved vido vadanti. Vishanti yad yatyo vitaragah. Yadikchanto brahmacharyam charanti. Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe. Very good. See, it is not very difficult. Prabhupada has given us word meaning. So when we are reciting, if you look at the word meaning, the sloka will become very easy and accessible. So what Krishna is recommending here, how to be able to come to the Agya Chakra. What is the Yoga Balena practice? That is, so first thing is, Yad Aksharam Veda Vido Vadanti. So the practitioner of the Eightfold Mystic Yoga, what he has to do? He has to vibrate. What he has to vibrate? Aksharam. And what is that Aksharam? Is syllable Om, which is there in the Veda Vidha. So those who are conversant with the Vedas, what they meditate and vibrate, they vibrate on the syllable Om. So Yad Aksharam, and we saw in the 7th chapter, when Krishna was speaking about his opulences, so he gave that amongst the transcendental sound, Krishna is Om. You see, 7.8. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. So he says that I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. So the practitioner of the Ashtanga Yoga, he practices vibrating the transcendental sound Omkar. This is first practice. Clear? Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti. Second aspect, Vishanti Yad Yatayo Vitaragaha. That Vit means without and Raga means attachment. So in his practice, he is completely detached. He is renounced. He has renounced all material sense gratification. That means he is only on the transcendental plane. He does not come down to the material plane. So he is Vishanti Yad Yatayo Vitaraga. He has already entered the transcendence. And he does not come to the material platform. He is completely disconnected from the material platform. He is detached. He is renounced. So first aspect is that he vibrates the transcendental sound Om. Second aspect is that he is completely detached from all material engagements. And third is Yadikshanto Brahmacharyam Charanti, that he practices Brahmacharya, which is celibacy. He practices complete celibacy. And the fourth aspect is Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshya. That he desires the perfection of the Supreme. And what is the purpose? Is to attain salvation. So Krishna says that process I will briefly explain. We will continue in the next verse. So four aspects are mentioned here. First is that the practitioner of this Yoga Mishra Bhakti or the Ashtanga Yoga, he vibrates the transcendental sound Om, Omkara. Then he is completely detached from all material engagements. He is always on the transcendental platform. He practices celibacy. And fourth is that he has the aspiration to attain salvation. So now see the translation. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. So their aspiration of salvation is to merge in the Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain. Sangrahena. Sangrahena means in brief, in summary. Krishna says that I will explain to you in brief. This Krishna is explaining in Srimad Bhagavatam in detail in the third canto as Lord Kapildev, the son of Devahuti. There he explained the process in great detail. But here he is explaining very briefly by which one may attain salvation. So you see, this process of practice is common not only for Ashtanga yogis, even for Bhakti yogis. So the Ashtanga yogis may vibrate Om, but what we vibrate? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there is practically this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the direct sound representation. Prabhupada explains that in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, that the sound representation of Omkar is non-different from Krishna. Krishna has already spoken about it in the 7th chapter. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. Omkar is one of Krishna's innumerable incarnations. So this is the sound incarnation. The Supreme Lord is manifesting in the form of sound. And Omkar is completely transcendental. So the impersonalist, those who want to merge in the Brahman, there are three categories of transcendentalists. The first is impersonalist. The second is yogis. And the third are devotees. So the impersonalists, they have this tendency to merge in the Supreme. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is speaking, that the impersonalists, however, have a tendency to place more emphasis on the Omkar and less on the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya appeared specifically to teach personal love of God through the chanting of the supreme name of Krishna. So when we say Omkar, so Omkar is the impersonal sound representation of it. And as soon as we say Krishna, Krishna is the personal name. If Mr. Muralidharan, Dr. Muralidharan is here. If I say Dr. Saab, his attention will be on me. There may be 4, 5, 6 professors, doctor. And if I say Dr. Muralidharan, which will catch him first? Huh? Which is the best way to address you? Huh? Dr. Saab or Dr. Muralidharan? Which one? This is practical. So when we chant Omkar, then we are referring to the impersonal form. But when we are chanting Hare Krishna, then we are specifically addressing the Supreme Lord in his personal form of Krishna. So where the attention of the Lord will come? When we chant Hare Krishna, not when we chant Omkar. So this is very important. So this understanding to come may take many births. The Lord Chaitanya appeared specifically to teach this personal love of God through the chanting of the supreme name of Krishna. So for purification, we need concern ourselves with no other teachings than those of Lord Chaitanya, and who taught us in this age of Kali that there is no other way to achieve God realization than by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare. So there is recommendation of chanting Omkar also, which is there. But it is the impersonal realization. But when we are chanting Hare Krishna or Hare Ram, then we are directly addressing and connecting with the Supreme Lord. So this is more easy and more direct way, and it guarantees perfection. So that is why in this age of Kali, the Upanishad says, Kali Santan Upanishad says, Hare Nama, Hare Nameva Kevalam, Kalau Nasteva Gatiranyatha. So in this age of Kali, when our lifespan is short, when our minds cannot be focused, it is very easily agitated and distracted. When our intelligence is corrupted, for us, we have to take the easy way. Now, what is the easy way? Is Hare Nam. Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. It is emphasized not 1 time, 2 times, but 3 times. Why it is emphasized 3 times? Because the people in the age of Kali, their memory is also very short-lived. So unless and until you repeat and re-emphasize, what they do? They delete. It is deleted from our mind. So it's very important that, so we also chant and they also chant. But what they chant Omkara and we chant Hare Krishna. Then Vishanti Yatayo Vitaraga, that they also renounce. What they renounce? They renounce the connections with the world. But we renounce only material connection to develop spiritual connection. So that is the difference. Then they also practice celibacy, brahmacharya. We also practice brahmacharya. But the practitioner of Krishna consciousness is allowed to marry and remain in householder life with one partner. That is also called brahmacharya. So in this way, we see there are many common practices. They are understood the verse? Clear? Now we'll see the commentary. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Shat Chakra Yoga. That was in the last. Anyone knows what are the 6 Shat Chakra Yogas? No need to. Anyway. In which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. So that is Agya Chakra. Agna Chakra, I just said. When Lord Shiva opens his Agya Chakra, there is devastation of this universe. That is devastation, pralaya. Everything is burned down. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Shat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verse. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features. Especially for impersonalists, the Akshara or Omkara, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. So the impersonal form of the Lord in his transcendental sound is the manifestation in the form of Omkara or Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman into which the renounced order of sage enter. So this is called what kind of salvation? This is Sayujya Mukti. Sayujya means to try to merge and become one. But actually it is not possible. The living entity is always eternal. Krishna has already said that the soul can Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavaka, Na Chenam Kledayantapo, Na Shoshayati Maruta. That you cannot cut the soul. Can anyone cut the soul? He cannot even see the soul, so what he can cut? There is no equipment or apparatus which has been developed so far which can detect the size of the soul because it is so minuscule. So Nanam Chindanti Shastrani. So what to say of cutting or killing the soul? Nanam Dahati Pavaka. Non it can be burned. Fire cannot burn it. Na Chenam Kledayantapo. Nor it can be moistened. Nor it can be withered by wind. So when the soul is so distinct, it is so individual. So how can it merge? The individuality of the soul can never be compromised. This is what Krishna has explained. Na tu eva ham jatu nasam, na tvam neme janadipa, na chaiva na bhavishyama, sarve vaya mataparam. Krishna said, there was never a time when I did not exist, Arjuna, nor did you. Nor in the past there will be any such possibility when I and you and all these kings will not exist. That means in the past also, you were there and I were there and these kings were there. And Krishna talks about future, that there will never be a time when I will not be there, you will not be there, the kings there. And what to speak of present, they are already there. So the soul can never be losing its existence at any stage. So this salvation of becoming one is false. Because the individuality of the soul can never be compromised. So here, this process that the renounced sages, they want to enter into the impersonal Brahman is incomplete. It is not perfect. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. So these are Yama and Niyama. So Ashtanga Yoga has 8 limbs. I explained last time. Anyone remembers? What are the 8 limbs? You remember? If you remember. You remember? What are the 8 limbs? नहीं याद है? What are the 8 limbs? If you don't make notes, that is very difficult. Our memory is very constrained. It is not that we hear once and it will go into memory. Yeah. You remember something? First is yama. Second is niyama. Third is asana. Fourth is pranayama. And fifth is pratyahar. Pratyahar means to withdraw the mind and senses from the distractive sense objects. And then one can have dharana. Dharana means to fix his mind and intelligence. In this age of Kali, is it possible? It is impossible to focus even for 1 minute without getting distracted. Not even 1 minute. The distraction has become so heavy, so overwhelming. This practice is very essential for the student advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celibate life is not at all possible. So Prabhupada is very practical. He said for now to practice this rigid path in this age is very difficult. It is almost impossible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. It's very difficult now. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. The Prabhupada is bringing this deficiency. Do you find any such institution in Delhi which teaches how to practice brahmacharya? How many institutions will be there for education and knowledge in Delhi? More than 50,000. Big and small combined together. But out of that, not even one is there. Prabhupada gave this edition of Bhagavad Gita in 1960s. How many years have passed? 65 years have passed. But nothing has changed. Anything has changed? Prabhupada is saying here that the social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. So that is why one of the regulative principles that we observe strictly is no illicit sex. Because in human life, if one is having illicit sex, then that life is as abominable like an animal. In animal life, there is no regulation. Is there any regulation? There is no. Is there any institution of marriage in animal life? No. But if humans, they become animals, then where is the possibility of... That is why people do not understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita can only be known who is at least at the platform of human intelligence. His consciousness has to be human. And one of the practices of a human civilized form of life is to practice celibacy. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunctions for this age of Kali, that in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible, except the chanting of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if one practices this process, then he can achieve liberation or salvation. So how difficult it is to chant the Omkara, to be completely detached and freed from all material aspirations and material attachments. What is the biggest block? What is the weakness of our heart? Material attachments. We have so much material attachments in our heart. It is filled with attachments. And where our mind and intelligence is absorbed? Where our mind and intelligence is absorbed? Where our attachments are? Simple. So how can we focus on Krishna? If we have our heart which is full of material attachment, then to practice celibacy, Even very difficult in this age of Kali. So to achieve all this qualifications is almost impossible. But what is possible? To simply chant Hare Krishna. So if one chants Hare Krishna, then he surpasses all this qualifying state and directly comes in connection with Krishna. So he can remember Krishna. One who chants Hare Krishna throughout his life, he can remember Krishna and he can attain the Supreme. Then Krishna further gives the process. What one has to further do? 4 aspects he explained in the 11th verse. Further aspects he is explaining in the 12th verse. Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manohridi niruddhya cha Murdhani adhyatmana pranam Astito yoga dharanam. So the previous one was pratyahar and this is talking about dharana. Dharana. So the okay, so I'll recite 1 or 2 times more and then you recite. Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manohridi niruddha cha Murdhani adhyatmana pranam Astito yoga dharanam. Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manohridi niruddha cha Murdhani adhyatmana pranam Astito yoga dharanam. Recite. Those who did not recite, may recite now. Right. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. बोलो आगे. Manohridi niruddha cha Adhyatmana Murdhani adhyatmana pranam Astito yoga. See, very simple. Many times I have told in the past also, but those who are new, you see the verse, don't try to read from the Sanskrit part. I don't know how many of you know Sanskrit, at least I don't know. I never attempt from the Sanskrit part because I will not be able to. So I see the English part. It is easier for me. And when I am seeing the English part, what I see the word meaning. So you see the word meaning. When I am reciting, you see the word meaning. It will become so easy. This sarvadvarani sanyamya Mana hridi niruddha cha Murdhani adhyayatmana Pranamastita yoga dharanam. Simple. Right? Is that right? The fear will be over. घबरा क्यों रही हो? बोलो. Sarvadvarani sanyamya Manohridi niruddha cha Murdhani adhay Murdhani adhyayatmana Pranamastito yoga dharanam. So then Krishna says further what one has to practice. Sarvadvarani sanyamya. Dwara means the gates or the openings. In this body, how many gates or openings we have? 9. Yes, we have 9 gates. What are the 9 gates? 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, and anus and genitals. What do you do? we secrete from these 9 openings. All dirt comes out, isn't it? When you wake up from the eyes, what comes out? Dirt. What comes out from the nose? Dirt. What comes out from the mouth? Dirt. What comes out from the ear? Dirt. What comes out from the anus and the genitals is urine and stool. All dirt comes out. So Sarvadvarani Sanyamya. Sanyamya means to control. And what one has to control? All the openings, all the 9 gates. Also from these 9 gates, what do we see? Or what do we enjoy? The sense objects. All endeavors or attempt for enjoyment is through this 9 gates only. How do we enjoy the form? Through the eyes. How do we enjoy the sound? Through the ears. How do we enjoy the taste? Through the mouth. Everything is done through these 9 gates. So what these 9 gates have to be done? They have to be controlled. Sanyamya. Sanyamya means to regulate or to control. And then further, he has to mano means the mind. He has to fix the mind. When the senses are regulated or controlled, then only the mind can be fixed. Everyone is saying that he has trouble with controlling the mind. But they do not know how the mind is to be controlled. The mind to be controlled, first what has to be controlled? Senses has to be. And how the senses have to be controlled? When these 9 gates, they have to be regulated. Unless and until the 9 gates is regulated, one has not restrained his life, cutting the sense objects from senses to be enjoyed. And there is no possibility of sense control. When there is no sense control, there is no possibility of mind control. So all attempts of mind to be controlled or mind to become peaceful, it will be a failure. 100% failure. You go and join any course. Any motivation speaker will speak, whatever he may speak, nothing will work. Because he does not know what is the foundation. Krishna is giving the foundation. If we want to control the mind, what we have to do? We have to first control the senses. So Krishna says the yoga is to see the translation. The yogi situation is that of detachment from all sense engagements. That is closing the mind. Next session, maybe we will go up. So then we will be not so cramped. Today, just please be here. We come ahead, little ahead. We are on the 12th verse. 12th verse. So the first thing is that one has to regulate his senses. He has to regulate all the 9 gates of the body. Then he has to fix his mind, closing all the doors of the senses. What it means, closing all the doors of the senses? Yeah, we will close our eyes. We will close our ears. We will plug our ears. We will choke our nostrils. No. What it means? It means that we will not allow the senses to remain uncontrolled. We will regulate the senses. What we have to see, we will regulate it. Not that we see any nonsense. Now it is very dangerous. All of you have smartphones. And you try to see something and your vision is trapped somewhere else. Very dangerous. So then how can there be Sardvarani Sanyamya? The mobile phone is the most effective way of distracting everyone. No one is spared. No one is spared. From the lowest level of person to the highest person of authority. Even the Prime Minister or the President, no one is spared. Everyone is a victim of this is the weapon of mass distraction. Previously, they to rule each other and to dominate each other, they used to produce the weapons of mass destruction. That is not required. Now this weapon of mass distraction is there. This has completely destroyed the modern age of the modern youth. So closing the doors of the senses means closing the sense objects coming in contact with the senses. And fixing the mind in the heart and the life air on top of the head. So from Agya Chakra, it has moved further on top of the head. Following? How? By the process that Krishna is giving here. One establishes himself in yoga. So from Agya Chakra, he is moving ahead. Murdhani Adhyay Atmana. Murdhani Adhyay means he is fixing his consciousness at the top of his head. You see the yogis, what they do when they give up the body, they give up through the topmost chakra and they go for salvation, for liberation. They don't have to come back. So Prabhupada says to practice yoga as suggested here, one first has to close the doors of all sense enjoyment. That is the meaning of closing the doors. That not allowing the doors to remain in contact with the sense objects. This practice is called pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. The sense organs for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, should be fully controlled and should not be allowed to engage in self-gratification. In this way, the mind focuses on the super soul in the heart. When the senses are controlled, when the senses are purified, then the mind can be focused. Otherwise, there is no question of mind remaining focused. It will always be distracted. And the life force is raised to the top of the head. From the eyebrows, now it has come to the top of the head. In the 6th chapter, this process is described in detail. But as mentioned before, this practice is not practical in this age. Prabhupada is giving a very clear indication that don't waste your time and don't waste your life in trying to attempt this process. The best process is Krishna consciousness. If one is always able to fix his mind on Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in the undisturbed transcendental trance or in samadhi. We have seen so many big yogis were there. You know some of the names who did such practices and meditation. Huh? No, just first hear me. But what happened? That just with a little bit of tinkling of the sound of the ankle bells, all their meditation was over. The great sage Vishwamitra. He was meditating alone in a very solitary place, in the jungle, in the forest. But what happened? One Menaka appeared and his meditation was broken. So many. The Prabhupada is saying this is not possible at this age. Simply what we have to do, we have to focus on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and we perform devotional service, this is the direct method. One can be in Samadhi. Okay? Is there any question or clarification in these two verses? Then I'll move forward. I'll take at least one more verse and complete this section. If you have any question or doubt or anything to discuss or inquire on the process which Krishna has given so far in these two verses that we discussed, then please ask. Online viewers can also ask. If there is any trace of doubt, please ask. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving all the paths. He is giving all the processes. And then finally, he is giving his conclusion. That which process is the best of the process. Krishna is not forcing Arjuna that you take up only this process. So this is the very special feature of the Supreme Lord. that he never forces his desire or his will on anyone. He allows the person to choose his own option. But he gives the knowledge. He's giving the knowledge. After speaking the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will tell Arjuna, Yatha ikshasi tatha kuru. He does not say that you do as what I tell you. Okay, I don't see any question coming. Yeah, okay.
So they say samadhi.
Ah.
Samadhi is like
Samadhi means samadhi. Dhi means intelligence. And sama means in all respect. When the mind and intelligence is fixed on the supreme, then that state is called samadhi or trance. So that is what Krishna is saying about that samadhi will come if somebody says that I want to be PhD. But first you have to do schooling now, Baba. First pass the schooling, then pass the graduation, then you can, then you have to do post-graduation, then you will do PhD. It is good that you have aspiration to do PhD, but where it will begin? One cannot begin at, see, I have to do PhD, I will directly enroll in PhD. Is it possible? So that is what Krishna is explaining. What he says, Sarvadvarani Sanyamya. Are we doing that? Are we observing? To detach our sense from the sense objects? That training is there? That restraint is there? Then how the mind can be focused? How the intelligence can be fixed? Your eyes are closing. So this is very important. Krishna is giving us the process, the scientific way. Like if your daughter says that I want to be a doctor, very good. But she cannot become a doctor tomorrow or next year. So first thing is, the first step has to be taken. If one does not take the first step, how can he come to the final step? So that process has to be practiced. So Krishna is giving the practice. So that is why we have the 4 regulative principles. How to practice sense control? By 4 regulative principles. Simple. What are the 4 regulative principles? You know? First regulative principle is no meat eating. There is no meat eating. Why? Because if we are eating meat, then we cannot show compassion. Because we are killing the others, other living beings. Many times people argue with us, you are killing the plant also. If you pluck the vegetable, is the plant killed? In the next season, you will have more vegetables. You will have more flowers. You will have more fruits. But because people do not understand this, and they don't have the desire to understand, they argue. But by argue, one cannot achieve anything. So important is to regulate the senses. So first is no meat eating. So what we eat only Krishna Prasad. Whatever we offer to Krishna, we eat. So that is the first regulation. Second is no intoxication. No smoking, drinking, drugs, not even tea and coffee. Believe me, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I had only one, what should I say, addiction. And that addiction was tea. From morning till night, I don't know how much cups of tea I would consume. If tea is not available, then coffee. Used to work very, very long hours in the office, incessantly having tea and coffee. But after coming to Krishna consciousness, how it was evaporated, I don't know. I don't remember last week when I drank tea. Forgot. Completely forgot. So that is second. So intoxication means that we are stimulating the senses to remain uncontrolled. If a person who is drunk, can you ask him to show any restraint? He will behave so abnormally that he will be ashamed of himself. So no intoxication. And the third is that there should not be any illicit sex. As I said, sex is only allowed in the institution of marriage. There is no sex allowed outside marriage. Because that is again, it is like living a life of animal life. Animal. In animal institution, there is no provision for marriage. And fourth is, what is the fourth one? No gambling. No gambling. Yeah. Why? Because the person who is gambling, the possibility is he will be cheating. And when one has to cheat, he will speak lies. So the principle of satyam is compromised. So there are four pillars. The first is ahimsa or daya, that is no meat eating. The second is truthfulness or satya, no gambling. Third is tapa. Tapasya has to be there. This is tapasya. If you restrict your senses from sense enjoyment, what do you require? You require determination. And how determination comes? From performing austerity. Tapasya. And fourth is socham. Socham is cleanliness. So if you observe these four things in your life, then there is possibility that our intelligence and mind can become purified. And when intelligence and mind is purified, then we can understand the message of Bhagavad Gita or any Vedic literature. That is why in today's world, it is rare, very rare. I mean, it is a great gift of the Supreme Lord that we are discussing Bhagavad Gita and 10, 12, 15% are there. As time will progress, numbers will become less. Why? Because no one is following the process. So, to come in Samadhi, where it has to begin? It has to begin from sense control. How to do sense control? Simply observe these four principles. Every ISKCON devotee observe these four principles. When Srila Prabhupada went to the West, I stayed in Moscow before coming to ISKCON. I was working in Russia and long back, from 94 to 96, 2 years, almost 2 years I was there. I came to ISKCON in 2003. And when I went to Mayapur for the first time, I saw Russian devotees. And believe me, I was completely shocked because what I saw in Russia, that every day in and out, they are breaching these four regulative principles. There is rampant smoking and drinking. Everyone drinks there. It is common for all, whether he is in a male body or he is in a female body. Everyone drinks and smokes. Then there is profuse meat eating. They all are consumers of meat. Then there are so many casinos in Russia. In Moscow, there are so many casinos. Even it may surpass Las Vegas. Why? Because everyone wants to become millionaire by night. How is this possible? Gambling. And there is rampant illicit sex. So much prostitution is there. But Prabhupada, when he preached to only one Russian, and that Russian preached to the fellow Russian. And those people from that stage can reform. So what is the difficulty with us? We are not at that level of sense gratification. What is the difficulty with us? What we require is some determination. And how determination will come? In the association. So if you practice these four regulative principles, then the senses will become controlled. Controls of the senses means purifying the senses. When we purify the sense, we purify the mind. And only purified mind can be controlled. Prabhupada gives an example. You know the horses? If someone has to ride a horse, and that horse is a wild horse who has remained in the forest, what is the possibility of riding the horse? As soon as you try to ride, he will kick you out. Isn't it? So which horses are there in the races? Most trained horses. They're very trained horses. They have been trained for many, many years. Then they can participate in the races. Untrained horse can never, you cannot, win with him. So similarly with our senses, they are as wild as our horses. Or they are also compared to snakes. Snakes, what do the snakes have? Venom, wish. So what we have to do? We have to give up that wish, and from the senses, what we have to taste? Nectar. The journey of Krishna consciousness is to give up the poison and to start tasting nectar. How? By regulating the senses. That is called the higher taste. When Prabhupada went and preached, so all the American youths, they were taking drugs. So Prabhupada said, this is useless because you take a dose today and tomorrow you come down. I will give you a taste which will never go down. So he introduced the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Krishna Prasad. And they all become, from hippies, they become happy. So please practice. If you don't practice, then you cannot access this taste. This taste is only available when you practice and become pure. To the extent you become pure, you can relish the taste. So, to come to the stage of Samadhi, we have to start from Yama. Yama means rules and regulations. Niyama, what we have to do, what we don't have to do. Then Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, then Dharana, then Dhyan, and then without following the process, without clearing the lower stage, one can never come to the higher stage. But if you practice chanting Hare Krishna, you can surpass in one stroke. This is what Prabhupada is explaining. When you come to the ISKCON moment, from day one, we suggest everyone to chant Hare Krishna. Because if we are chanting Hare Krishna, the process is of purification of our mind and senses both. And this is the most effective way. So please chant. Every day, every one of us has 24 hours. Can anyone complain that he has less time? Everyone has 24 hours. So it is up to us that how we utilize the time. There is no dearth of time. What is required is intelligence to utilize this time. Okay? So important that we begin. So to control these senses is easy. The control, directly you try to control the mind, it is impossible. The mind will kick you off. Mind is very strong. But you can regulate the senses. How to regulate the senses? Sleep in time, early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. But we preach to others, but we don't want to practice it. Then how we will get the benefit? Okay, I'll take the 13th verse also and complete this section. And from the 14th section, Krishna will speak about the pure devotional service. There is some time. Look at the 13th verse. Om iti eksharam brahma vyaharan mam anushmamam ya priyati tejandeham sayati paramam gate. You are becoming impatient. Yeah? Try to sit and hear. You want water? Sir, water, whatever you want. You speak to everyone taking class. Pick up the phone. Okay. So Om iti eksharam brahma. So after being situated in the yogic practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combinations of letter, even thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead. So this is after a lot of practice. The process which was given there in the 11th and the 12th verse. 11th verse, you remember? 3 aspects. That he vibrates the Om. Then he is completely detached. He is renounced from all material engagements. And then he has practiced Brahmacharya. And he has the data. Did you speak? But it was cut. No. And then he has Sarvadvarani Sanyamya. He has shut the 9 doors. And he has fixed his mind in his heart, the super soul. For such a person, how he can achieve perfection, that is being stated here. That after being situated in the yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letter. If one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead, Vyaharan Mam Anusmaram. Smaran means to remember. And Anusmaran means how it has been recommended. So what is the way Krishna has recommended? The 9 ways. What were the 9 ways? In the 9th verse. Kavim Puranam Anushashitanam Anoraniya. We discussed that. So Ya Prayati Tajandeham. So such a person is giving up his body. Sa Yati Param Gate. So he will achieve the topmost destination. He will achieve the spiritual planets. After being situated in the yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the supreme personality of Godhead and puts his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So one who has perfected the process of this Ashtanga Yoga Vidhi, which Krishna has detailed and explained in this section. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman and Lord Krishna are non-different. The impersonal sound of Krishna, is Om. You need water? Okay. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. Prabhupada used to give example of a 100 rupee note. If you have a 100 rupee note, you need not have 5, 10, 20 and 50. It is already there. The value of 100 contains all. But if you have 10, you cannot get worth 100. Can you get? So what is Om? 10 rupee note, not 100. This 10. And what is Hare Krishna? 100. 100. So here it is saying. Prabhupada is saying. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om. But the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets according to the mode of his practice. Is very important. Not everyone will reach in the same destination. Different practitioner will reach different planets depending on the practice. Like every student will not have the same mark. Will he have the same mark in the class, in the exam? No. Every student will have different mark according to his preparation and according to the answer he has written. Simple? Simple to understand? So according to the mode of practice. If one's mode of practice is in Satoguna, then he will reach the higher planet. The devotees of Krishna enter Krishna planet, Golok Vrindavan. For the personalists, there are also innumerable other planets known as Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. Whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti. Okay. So this is the Yoga Mishra Bhakti, which Krishna has mentioned in this part. And then in the next 2 verses, Krishna will explain and give the advantage of those who are practicing the pure devotional service. So what is the comparison? And what is the benefit of those who are practicing Shuddha Bhakti rather than performing Yoga Balena practice. Okay, so I'll stop here. If there is any further question or doubt, please ask. We have 5-7 minutes. You have a copy of Bhagavad Gita with you at your house? So please keep it like you keep your mobile with you. This mobile connects to those who are in this world, but Gita connects to the Supreme Lord. So please utilize this mobile. You want more? Okay. So coming back to the subject that we discussed. Any question, any doubt? Any query? Please ask. From this section, we understand that we need not go to this difficult part. We need not take this difficult part. What we have to take? We have to take the easy path of devotional practice and devotional service. Hare Krishna. Okay, all clear? नहीं, ये पाथ इजी कहाँ है? आप कितना राउंड कर रही है? हाँ, 4 राउंड, 16 नहीं हो पा रहा है, क्यों? इजी पाथ है ना, करो। क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? The path is easy, but the practice is not easy. Why? What is the reason? Huh? Distractions, impurity. Huh? It can only be practiced by those who are pure. So unless and until we become pure, although it is easy, but still it is not being practiced. Because it is the most effective and the most highest part. Krishna has already said, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana. See 6.47. In 6th chapter also Krishna has explained the Ashtanga Yoga process. This process Krishna has explained in detail. 6.47, the final verse in this section. So he says, Yoginam api sarvesham. So amongst all the practicing yogis, whether he's a karma yogi or whether he's a jnana yogi or whether he's an ashtanga yogi or whether he's a mishra, yoga mishra, bhakti, amongst all the yogis, mad gatina antaratmana, shraddhavan bhajate yoma, samay yukta tamomata. That one who is shraddhavan, who is faithful to me, and one who is mad gatina antaratmana, one whose mind and heart is fixed on me. Such a person is the topmost. But the problem with us is, you know what? What Krishna recommends as topmost, our mind does not accept it. And we are not followers of Krishna. We are followers of our mind. Then what to do? What happens? We are cheated. And who is the cheater? Mind. Mind is a cheater. So the entire practice of Krishna consciousness is to transform the mind. To transform the. Is it easy? It is easy. It is easy for those who are simple. And it is difficult for those who are complex. This simplicity and complexity is based on one's mental position. I have seen many devotees, many students. We tell them to chant 16 rounds, and within few days they start chanting 16 rounds. Because they think that what is being said is the best. So why not do it? In our practice also, it did not take much time to start chanting 16 rounds. Within 1 year, was easily able to chant 16 rounds. So see, Krishna gave this Bhagavad Gita in the midst of the battlefield, where everyone was hearing. But how many were able to follow? How many? One. And who is that one? Arjuna. It is a fault of Krishna. So the first thing what we should do, we should observe these 4 regulative principles. This 4 regulative principles we must observe with lot of caution and diligence. We should not breach them. Because if you follow these 4 regulative principles, gradually you will see your determination will become very strong. What is the difficulty with us? That our determination is weak. We are very susceptible. So that susceptibility can be overcome with strong determination. Strong determination will come when you have strong practice. Please practice and take advantage. Okay. Next week we are going to Vrindavan. 23rd, 24th and 25th. For 3 days, we are out of town. 26th is next Saturday. I won't be able to come because on 27th we have a big program in the temple. I have many services. So you are all invited to come on 27th. Those of you who are not coming to Vrindavan, you four are not going, na? You are also not coming? You are coming? You both are coming. Okay. So you all come on next Sunday to our temple. We'll be having a very big program. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. And please join for dinner. We have dinner prasad. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.